Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Adam Elnekaveh is here, and he's the author of Rebuilding Adam, the Tragedy. It's a deeply personal memoir that you are going to want to check out on Amazon or wherever books are sold, as they say, which is everywhere on the internet, because when you listen to a memoir, you get different perspectives, you get different people's stories, and we're going to hear a little bit about Adam's story and what happened to him and what he learned and what you can learn from him. Adam Elnekaveh, author of Rebuilding Adam, the Tragedy. So Adam, how are you today? How are things?
Things are well. Thank you for having me on.
Glad to have you. And so you have this amazing story that we want to hear about, but in your own words, what makes you unique? What makes you stand out?
I think what makes me stand out is the fact that me and my family were told point blank to our faces that if I wake up from my 10-day coma, I'd be a vegetable, I'd be paralyzed, I'd be unable to drive, I'd need hospice care the rest of my life. I would be inadequate and incapable the rest of my life. And I it was something that I could not accept, and I pushed to see what I can possibly achieve, whether it was an inch, a foot, a yard, or a mile. So my story is to show anyone that is going through anything in their life, with relationships, with job opportunities, schooling, living new places, new languages, whatever the case may be, whatever challenge they may have in front of them. My story is to show them what I went through and how I was able to get past it or am in the process of dealing with it, basically.
Wonderful. Well, I love that message. And we could all use some extra help, right? It seems like the default mood and mindset of many people is the negativity. I'll just survive today. This will never work. Why try? And many things in life, we have to set these big goals and we have to perform these daily actions and have these small wins and keep finding the motivation and the discipline to carry on. And so it's all a good message. And so as far as what happened to you, your motorcycle accident, what transpired?
It was a real awakening because I was a big time bodybuilder before this. I was being interviewed by people with millions of followers, and I was even developing my own fitness application because I love fitness. I love working out. I enjoyed it. Like the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic. I like loved all that. So my whole life was building differently. It was being built through the physicality abilities of myself being an athlete. So my whole life was about my physicality, my physical abilities. And then after my accident, I was um I was presented with the facts that I would no longer have an operating left hand anymore and no longer operating left leg anymore. So I literally had half my body cut off me, um, neurologically, because I hit the right side of my brain, and the right side of your brain, the hemisphere, the right side controls the left side of your entire body. So it was so bad that motorcycle oil from my motorcycle that I fell on in Thailand shot up my brain, poisoning a part of it. So I need to have a cellular piece of it removed. So it was just tragic. Just everything about my accident was tragic, and it was an awakening that my life is not going to be about my body anymore. So once I accepted that, after a year and a half, 2 years it took to accept that fact, I wanted to see what else I can give back to the world, what else I can do to make me feel fulfilled and happy and do good things for other people because I want to, at the end of the day, do something with my life that is, of course, successful for my personal self, like any business would want to be successful. But at the same time, I want to see what I can put out there that reflects positive growth and a good message, basically.
Very nice. And I love that. And we're all about positive growth. And especially you mentioned about Arnold Schwarzenegger's message, right? And this idea of like being the best you can be and push yourself both physically and mentally. And, you think about what your identity is made up of. And sometimes people say, I love my car or I love my family. But then sometimes you get your identity attached to something and then it gets taken away from you, right? You love your physical fitness, your physical health, and then taken away from you and it's painful. And that was even a helpful information there that it took years of mental work on your own part just to kind of like rebuild and recover and say, hey, there's other parts of my life. And so, what is good, I think, is I saw you move your left hand, and before we started recording, you got up and closed the door. So, are you better now? Have you physically recovered?
Um, Physically recovered, I can walk, I can travel, I can jog limp, I can do weights in the gym, I can do an awkward pull-up, I can do almost everything anyone else can. Um, so I've recovered in that sense to be practical, but I'm not at that level of where I was. And that was and I'm never gonna be that again. I understand. I mean, I was the guy, there's videos all over my Instagram where I had 100-pound dumbbells being held above my head, and my friend was putting 40 pounds on top of it, holding it as I was bench pressing it up. So I was magnificently strong because I worked so hard to get there. But once I got this injury, I had to accept all these new facets about my life, how I'm going to be able to live my life. And that entire thing was all mental to accept. And people that happens to many people, every year about I think it's 50 about 150 million people get or 15 million people get have a TBI, a traumatic brain injury of some sort in their lives, whether it's falling off a skateboard, a stroke, a slip on across the ladder. Like just people have traumatic brain injuries every single year, and that doesn't account for all the past. So that's what I want to do. I want to reach out to people that are not only been head injured, but also just physically ill or sick or any type of challenge in their lives. I want to show them that you're still capable of being a human and achieve anything you want to achieve in life.
I
Yeah.
love that. You've just been hit with a little bit of adversity, and this is some good awareness that it can change at any moment, right? Someone cuts you off in traffic, you fall off a ladder, fall off a
Yeah,
skateboard, just a split second, and then your life is now taking a completely different path. And I'm really
absolutely.
curious about so after this happened, I'm sure it, like you said, it was a slow process to recovery. So what were those first few weeks and months like? Was there like problems with like the medication, the depression, the pity party? What did you go through just after you woke up from the coma?
You know, my memory in my book, even that said what happens, my memory didn't honestly return for the first 3 months. So that's why in my book, I'm a stats guy. I like basketball. So every chapter it shows you my memory capabilities, my left arm, my left, just like all the details about myself, like 5 details. And at the very end, it says sources, like who helped me tell this part of my book, my story. And the first 3 or 4 chapters are all my family and friends because I had no memory. So it was me learning to eat, walk, go to the bathroom, you know, do things, even look outside and know what the sky color is, and knowing that if I held a cup of water, if that water were to spill on me, that was a bad thing. I had to relearn what is right and wrong. It was all the way back to age 0. So, so I really had to learn everything again and understand that that if I wanted to drive again, at the DMV will actually have to interrogate me to a point to see if they are willing to give me a license again. Because anybody that has a brain injury or a head injury of any sort, or is really, really sick, the DMV doesn't want to give you your license to drive. They don't trust you behind a car. So I even saved all my my interrogatory meeting with the DMV representative. I saved all those questions that she asked me, and it's in the book. So I show how I responded and how I was very careful not to say the wrong things. And yeah, and the book continues how I want to start working again and living alone again. And then I was a single 28-year-old guy when this happened, so I couldn't go to a bar or to the movies even, to like meet a future girlfriend or someone. So I ended up going to the grocery store because I had a grocery cart to lean on to use as my cane. So that's like the whole book, how I explain how I found a new balance in my life. And it's a great story about showing people that never give up. That's just plain and simple. Never give up.
And it sounds
Yeah.
like a great story because, as you said, there's like the general motivation, right? Even if someone has not gone through something as similar as you have, like sometimes we have those down days where we say, well, am I really giving it my all? Am I really achieving what I want to? But then there's also that aspect of, let's say someone does go through a traumatic brain injury. I'm sure it helps so much for them to have the guide that you wish you had in order to say, well, you're going to have to go through all these things, and it'll take a lot of like planning, dedication, and all these milestones, including the things that you don't even maybe anticipate, like the DMV issue. And like it helps so much to be prepared for that. And I'm getting from you a lot of the like athletic mindset, and that's always just so cool to hear about and learn about, right? Like when you hear about the really good athletes, they do the mental work, right? They rehearse, they know what the game will be like, and then they also are about writing things down and knowing the data and knowing the stats. And so can you tell us about that? Like say someone is feels like they want to achieve more in life, in sports, in relationships, whatever, and they're saying, okay, well, what does Adam have figured out as far as some of these tools and skills he's figured out? Like what should people know? What is missing in the average person today?
The biggest thing that I always say to people about when they ask me these kinds of questions is I want to say that whatever you're striving for, whether it's a goal, being on a new team, making a bunch of money, even almost as simple as recovering from an injury or doing or creating anything, don't look at the journey like a rocket ship going to space. Like you'll be on the moon in a few days. Don't think of it like that. Think of your journey as you being in a car, just coasting along the freeway, getting just closer and closer and closer slowly to your goal, which is could be across the country even. Your goals, it takes years. If you want a great, like, I mean, we all heard this that Rome was not built in a day because something monumental, even as something as like a business or whatever you're trying to create in your life, whatever you're trying to do, it takes time. So don't think of your journey that needs to be done right then and there. Oh, in a couple of weeks, couple of days, couple of months, couple of years. No, no. Don't look at it like that. Just look at it as I'm gonna do this step and then this step and then that step. And these steps, keyword steps, steps take time to get to your final goal. So just look at your life in a way through patience. You have to be patient. And it's harder and harder for us as humans these days to be patient because what do we have on our side? We have technology. We have Amazon deliveries the next day. We have Instagram, Facebook, all these social media likes. You just click like, share, thumbs down, thumbs up, whatever it is, comment, non-comment. But we have just quick, indulgences that just, fast food restaurants. We have everything so quick. And that's like the biggest thing that I not only want to teach, but also to say it for myself to remember that, Adam, whatever you're working on, it takes time. You have to be patient because big things, monumental things, good things, like relationships, business, schools, whatever it is, it takes time. It takes time. That's what it is. It's about patience.
That is a wonderful lesson. And you have to think that with the social media and the TikToks and the likes, that there's also been the rise in popularity of podcasts like this or of books where there's maybe a slowing down. There's been a rise in people talking about mindfulness and meditation. So you hope that for the positivity and the future of humanity, that along with the instant gratification, there's also been the slowness that perhaps can counterbalance that if someone is awake and aware and knows that these tools are available. And I love the rocket ship versus the road trip analogy because you think, well, a rocket has to be like precisely timed, right? Because if they're 1% too slow on that rocket, the moon is way over there and they completely miss it, or they can't slow down, they smack into it. But then if you're on a road trip, well, maybe you're low on gas, maybe you have to stop and go to the bathroom, maybe you see a road sign, you pull over, and so it's like you have those unexpected detours and you say, well, hey, I'm not aimless, directionless, but I'm also accounting for my own patience and the surprises that come along. And so when you were working to rebuild your life in all these various aspects, was there something unexpected or was there like a really difficult task you had to do?
I think one of the biggest uh, challenges that I had to do was to, this is gonna be funny, to so my left arm and my left leg was paralyzed at some point. Was It's still like I can't use it functionally. So when you pull up to my gym in the parking lot, you have to take a validation ticket. So driver's side, the validation ticket is on the American side, is on the left side of the vehicle. So it took me like 3, 4 months to like, this is funny that I'm telling you this because I'm not going to tell you the gym was hard. That's the gym. I understand. We all know the gym is probably hard for a guy with half of his body intact. But I'm going to take a step back from the gym. I'm talking about getting in the gym. So just pulling up my car to the parking structure, just pulling up my car to the gym and leaning over my window with my right good side to pull that ticket out of the machine. It sounds simple, but you have to really be a good, precise driver without hitting your mirror against the validation ticket. You're scraping your door, getting too close to the curb, scratching your rims. I mean, and then and also when you're there, when you get to that point of stopping your car, parking, stopping, you're kind of committed. Like you probably got so close that maybe you weren't close enough to get the ticket out, but you can't open your door because you can't lean because the door is going to hit the machine. So you're stuck. So then there's cars behind you. So I mean, I'm pretty proud of myself just coming up with that too, because it's the honest truth. I've never had that in my mind to say that. But yeah, just getting into my gym was the hardest part, the initial hardest part. Yeah, and then of course, remembering my phone number to put it in the machine to touch the fingerprint scanner. That was a whole nother process. Seeing another guy that was a bodybuilder model being filmed by his friends who I used to be, seeing that, I looked at that and I'm honored by looking at it and it made me reminisce and I fall on my face in the gym. Like there's all these aspects and stories are in my book. It's just about my life. But there's a lot of critical things that happened um in the gym, not only in the gym, but just getting to the gym. Yeah.
That is
hell of a
amazing.
process. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and it
crazy.
well, it gives you a newfound appreciation for the many things that you take for granted, right? And like you learn all these skills, as you said earlier, starting from age 0, right? You learn how to tie your shoes. You learn how to get the key out of your pocket, put it in in the door, turn the key, and then because you would go crazy if you had to consciously always learn these things, then your brain kind of just picks up the muscle memory and the habits of the subconscious. That way, you can just do it on autopilot. But then what do you do if that's all kicked out from under you? You have to relearn. And it's just, we definitely all take for granted a lot of the automation that we put forth in just going through life. And if we're unhappy or unsatisfied or depressed, then we need to kind of like reawaken that spirit, because I mean, I'm sure you thought about, like, you could have died in that car crash, right? You could have had like a unrecoverable injuries. Someone else could have been killed. And so really like a bad thing can happen, but it could have been so much worse. And the message I'm getting from hearing all the things you figured out in your message is how optimistic and grateful we should be to be alive and to be aware and to be working on some of these things. But it's not my book, it's your book. So out of all the lessons that we've been talking about, what you're mentioning in the book, is there like a top number one lesson, or is there something that just like really hits us hard, or something really unique to be found in the book?
Like what you just said a second ago, where appreciation is um is the most dominant thing. It's we don't appreciate, what we have. We don't appreciate it down to the core of us in America being free. I have family in Israel. I know people in Africa. I have friends from South Africa. Like I know other countries, and the 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 things that they don't have, you know, all the way down to just plain freedom, and also the luxury that we have as Americans, like nail salons and massage places and gyms on every corner. And there's so much luxury around us as people that it's amazing and thankful that our country has gone to that point. But just never, don't take advantage. Do everything, I hate this word, this phrase, in moderation. My mom always used to say that to me, Adam, in moderation. And I myself, I never did anything in a moderation. Everything in my life that I go after, I go over the board. I go overboard. Like with the gym, I went overboard to become like a bodybuilder when I first worked at Abercrombie and Fitch and just looked at a nice model looking guy with a nice arm surfer kind of guy. So I started working out, and then that went to being a bodybuilder, like all the way to the top. And same thing with me writing my books. Like I'm not writing one book. I have 4 books. And that's right now. And it's gonna only grow because things are continue to bundle and to grow. So I would just say that no matter where you are as a person, Robert, you or anyone else, whatever you have, don't, it's great to always want more, always push the envelope, always get to the next chapter. Yeah, by all means, do that. Your friends, your family, whoever you have, you know, learn from them, be with them, just do everything to have those relationships grow that. But don't don't underappreciate what you have, whether it's 2 arms, 2 legs, able to go eat at any restaurant you want, or go to any house that you can want to stay at. Like whatever you can do, just don't underappreciate it, because it can be taken away very, very fast. That can be the best thing I can say.
That's very helpful. And I'm also hearing from you, take a risk, but also don't squander what you do have. And whether it be relationships or your health or your achievements, like push yourself and do these things. But also, it's so easy to throw something away that's good that you're making progress on. And so it's a lot to navigate and it's not straightforward, which is why we need to dive into a book like yours so that way we can do that kind of personal introspection. Because if you just sit there by yourself, you'll be trapped in your own thoughts, and maybe you can like go to therapy or something, but just to have that deep, slow thinking that we've been discussing of getting into a book and kind of unplugging from your own life and just living life through Adam's tragedy, it can help because sometimes we're so close to our own problems, so there is just the pain, the baggage, but then you hear about Adam's problems and stories and struggles, and you live vicariously through him through a little bit of it, and it can really help you by hitting your own personal problems in a new angle that it hasn't been hit from before. And so you mentioned that this book, Rebuilding Adam, the Tragedy, is just one of 4 books. And so it sounds exciting times are ahead for you. So what is in the future for you? What's on the horizon?
Uh, Book two, The Awakening, is complete. We're meeting with a few of the top publishers because they're interested. So it's exciting, and we're soon going to try to see what we can fabricate into a screenplay for a TV documentary or a show or something that will follow this journey. Um, yeah, many people are have expressed a lot of interest in this because I'm not the best seller, but if if people would follow and keep up with what's gonna come out, they'll be very much surprised at the level of lessons and interest and entertainment and all the whole bundle of everything that it's gonna come with. So it's exciting times, exciting times. So stay
And
tuned, and you can follow me on Instagram. My account is Adam Rose Vision. My website is strive2defy.com. So you can follow me on those and see next book release and what's coming up next. And yeah, a lot of good things are coming. Just one step at a time, right? Never give
yes,
up.
literally and figuratively. And so you say that's
Exactly.
strive2defy.com and Adam Rose Vision on Instagram. And the book is Rebuilding Adam, the Tragedy. And go check it out now. And we'll be able to say that we knew you when, right? Before you became super famous and have the movie and the TV show when you only had the one life changing book instead of many life changing books. And so as people are checking out those resources, the website, the social media, most importantly, the book, is there one final soundbite you can leave us with? Is there a very helpful quote or lesson that you've learned in this journey that you can pass on to us?
Hmm. There's one uh there's one by Bruce Lee that I maybe shouldn't give it away because it's already written in my third book. I'm already on my third book. But I'll say it, and I don't know word for word, but Bruce Lee is being interviewed and he says, strive to be like water. Water can be many things. If a water is in a cup, it forms into a cup. If a water is in a bottle, it forms to be a bottle. Now, water can splash or a water can flow. So whatever you choose to be in your life, just be like water, which entails that you will adapt to any situation or physical area or wherever you are. Just strive to be like water, adapt to anything.
That is very cool. And that is a wonderful place to leave our conversation. Be like water. And as we're flowing to the next adventure, the next challenge, where you should be flowing to right now is on Amazon. Search Rebuilding Adam and get that book. Jump in, read it, and you'll be amazed and excited by what you find. You'll get some breakthroughs, you'll get some life lessons, you'll get some training, some stories, and you'll love what you find. Rebuilding Adam, the Tragedy on Amazon. Wonderful speaking with you today, Adam.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, Robert.